Good morning, Clarice. We got a couple of minutes. I'm live on our closed Facebook group, so I'm going to go ahead and make my Zoom meeting recorded since I am saving these on my YouTube channel. Let me see if I can go ahead and do that.
Good morning, Sally.
There we go. There we go. As I'm doing the YouTube channel videos, I need to go back and edit them because when you watch them, it's me looking at the screen and all the things. It's not a very wonderful intro, but I'm not a YouTube star right now. So you get what you get. So I hope you had a great weekend and we got another minute left. Hello out on our closed Facebook group, Facebook Live. Good morning. Happy Monday motivation. And hope you had a wonderful weekend, whatever you designed it to look like, because we live by design, not by default. If you've been to Bold, you remember that. So we are, I'm just waiting to see. Clarice was here early. I saw you waiting in the waiting room and see if we have any others pop on this Monday. And it is 8:30, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Today, we're going to be talking about the budget model of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. So remember, the book we're going through right now currently is, and I have the page flipped here, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. And we've already touched on the budget model, but this specifically talks about the budget model on a larger scaled business and what it's there for. And we were starting on page 192, and we were just going to take a couple of pages because this chapter is not very long, actually. It ends on page 196 before we wrap it up with the organizational model. So hello, good morning, Polani. You guys, on page 192, it starts out talking about the budget, and it says the monthly budget for a real estate agent is a power tool. And that monthly budget just keeps you looking at what's happening right now, right? The today picture of your business. But the budget model of a millionaire real estate agent is more like a high level look into the spending or what you're investing in your business. Now, I'm curious, I know there's two of you on here, and you can just answer to yourself, or if you're on our closed Facebook group, if you've ever been through Dave Ramsey's class where he's teaching you how to manage money, it's all about working on a budget. And that sounds very structured. There's some of us that are free spirits and some of us aren't. And it could be a real thing for people operating out there in the world and not really looking at what expenses they have on a monthly or a big picture look at that. So the difference between a budget model for a millionaire real estate agent, it says, is that they should be able to explain why something is in their budget and exactly what they expect out of it. So if you've ever been through Dave Ramsey, you might have experienced looking at your spending and discovering many subscriptions. Maybe you're getting a Fit Fab Fun box or whatever that's called, or a Bark box, or you've got a video subscription that you've leveled up because you needed to watch your favorite stars program and you just intended to go and get that free trial, right? And then all of a sudden you're not watching what you're spending. So I think that also applies here in terms of what that statement was in looking at how you explain why you're spending something and exactly what you expected out of it. And I know for you guys, you probably have a lot of people reaching out to you, texting you, calling you for the next shiny ball, the shiny object that's the best thing since sliced bread. Am I right? Does that happen to you? I know it happened to me. So, so that is why you want to keep a high level budget model and a monthly budget going and think of it as your power tool on making sure that you're actually making money at the end of the day. So on that same page, it says we're still talking about two broad categories of your budget, and that is cost of sale and operating expenses. And those are used to make sure you know that you're getting the most effective use out of the investments you're investing in your business when you make a purchase or a commitment in your spending, right? So cost of sale on page 192 is the actual cost of capturing and converting your leads to sales, and which a lot of that could be handled with a seller specialist and a buyer specialist. And we mentioned those two categories several times through our process of going through the book. And we know that on a Millionaire Real Estate Agent model, they have gotten those leverage pieces. They've built their business to the point where they can have other people doing part of the business for them. But they do have to consider that that's going to be an investment in their business, and the right hires are important there. So what is a seller specialist responsible for? Well, they've got 5 key activities: converting seller leads to appointments, making listing presentations, and securing seller listings, and also handling communication during the marketing period and negotiating purchase offers. So there's kind of your 30, 60, 90 big rocks if you were going to hire a seller's specialist. And of course, on page 194, it tells you a little bit about best practices. It says that Gary, at the time that he wrote this book, interviewed 110 agents roughly, and he found that based on those things, that most of them are paid by a salary plus bonuses, and depending on some criteria, right, on how many listings they took, how many they sold, and the profit of the business. So there are some things there that if you're looking to set this model up in your business in the future, that you can be as your guide on page 194. It also says that depending on the market, the talent for that position might earn anywhere from $65,000 to $100,000 a year. Now, I know that the $100,000 benchmark is kind of what is in the book, and that may depend on the market, but there's a range there at the time the book was written for that salary. And on a buyer's agent, it also gives you a parameter, because I know I have people ask me a lot about what would the splits would you recommend for a buyer's agent? Well, since I've been in with Keller Williams for a number of years, I've seen that varied from team to team and what they choose. But always 50-50 has been best practice for profitability, because the rainmaker, the person running the business, they're in it to have a profit. So if they deviate from that some, it may affect that bottom line. And that's what they have to look at, because it may affect their economic model and hitting their numbers. And so, you get to choose, right? The offices that say you have to do 50-50, but we have statistics and all the things that say that 50-50 split is generally the best profitability measure there for best practices. So I've done a lot of talking. I'm going to pause here and see what your thoughts were on this chapter as you read it, or the several pages. Were there any ahas? Was it, yeah, I kind of knew that just based on being in some classes I've been in the past?
So one of the things I noticed, right, then figure 40, where he talks about the cost of sales,
Mm-hmm.
they don't put in, like where we were talking about previously, all of the fees that you have associated, or that's where it should go to, such as the market centers and the Keller Williams fees, or any other fees you might be paying. It does say, add in your cost of referrals if you have referral fees.
Mm-hmm.
But when I also looked in the back with the appendix it mentions, I don't
Mm-hmm.
see that listed either in the cost of sales.
Well, it definitely is a cost of sale. So you were right about that, Palani, because whatever the amount, when you look back at your business, that you are spending on referrals, because some of you may have a stronger referral. I call it the leg of your business stool, right? You may have a stronger referral bucket than others. Maybe others aren't focusing on that, but are tracking it. So if you do, then you'll be able to plug that number in there for the referral part of what you're paying out on commission, cost of sale. But definitely the split that you're paying your broker is considered cost of sale, because that's what costs you to close that lead. So that would be, whatever percentage that you're paying a company to go to that closing is what's going to be in there, of course, unless you're capped. And so, but you still would have it up front. You would have the cap mark, but you wouldn't have anything after that, because you'd be paying you would get 100% commission. So definitely that's a great point, Palani. And on that page, they said that there's only so many categories of expenses. I don't know if you noticed that. I said there are no miscellaneous categories. And that takes me back to Dave Ramsey as well, because he was like, every dollar budget, right? Every dollar goes in a bucket. It's accountable, every single bit of it. And they mentioned that here too. There is no miscellaneous category for your operating expenses. And so on that figure that you mentioned, figure 40, it gives the buckets or the categories there that are the ones that you would put your money in. And in the back of the book, there is a chart of accounts as well. Now you may have a CPA do that for you, right? That you may have QuickBooks and you may have these categories already set up for you to be able to do that in your own business. Do any of you guys use like QuickBooks or something else to manage? Okay, Janet, do you have it set up similarly? You have your things set up in there?
Yeah, at one point they changed it to the numbering system a little bit. So I've been using the QuickBooks one since I think 2003. So, and I just went to QuickBooks Online, which the less expensive version does not allow you to put the budget in it, which I'm really annoyed about. But
oh no,
so I guess
okay.
I'll have to do that with spreadsheets.
Well, I mean, but I love that you're doing it, and that you're looking at, that you're able to catch those things that you might have been spending money on that aren't serving you. And that if they're not living up to the expectation that you thought they would. And that's one of the things that that studying the P&L is a powerful thing too. And that's a real easy tool. That's just money in and money out every month, right? To be able to
QuickBooks will generate that for you, so that makes life easier.
Yeah.
As long as you balance your statements.
There you go. Right. Well, you know what? I think I told you before that my aha from doing the mortgage process too was that how easy it is on banking online just to look at the running total all the time and not look at money in and money out. And that's a whole different aha of where's that going? What's that cash flow look like? I think we're just easy to go, okay, well, I can balance it, right? I can look at all of that, but the other picture is very eye-opening as well. So I think putting time, remember, Bold says if it's not in your calendar, what's the rest of that? If it's not in your calendar, it doesn't exist. So and I would say we, because calendaring, I think ends up, even though lead generation is our number one job, calendaring is the beginning of any of it, of all of it. And having time to sit and look at these things and setting that up has to be on your calendar, or you'll figure out that months go by that you haven't done it. And that's where some of those little extra things that we think are miscellaneous show up that we've not put in the buckets they're supposed to go in. So that chart of accounts, Appendix A, is in the back of the book to help you with this section and getting some categories of expenses set up for yourself. Now I have written down 30, 30, 40. So basically, and that's still a number I have, my book is a little extra, right? It has these cute tabs with what's going on in this chapter. And it talks about that out of the 110 agents interviewed, Gary just simplified the budget model to 30, 30, 40 as a benchmark, 30% cost of sales, 30% expenses, and 40% net income. And that's like that MREA best practices, right? If you're operating at best practices, you could essentially have that 40% net income, which is a great net income, right? And this is assuming that there are team members. If it's an individual agent, the model is simpler, 30% expenses, 70% net income.
How does that happen?
Well, you're not paying all that cost of sale, and you're an individual agent, so you don't have all of the things. So I think that for those that, not everybody loves managing people, guys. So, this MREA budget model and economic model and lead gen model and organizational model, it is the bigger picture of how to run that really big business. And it's going to take people and systems and tools. So it's going to have the expenses. As an individual agent, you don't have all of those extras with that cost of sale for a buyer specialist and a lead specialist. So I think that's why, Janet. And you know what? It's okay if you don't. I talk to a lot of new agents getting in the business, and they like joining teams because teams set up a comfortable world to them and something they're stepping into that they feel unsure about. So, you know, whether they're going to be able to get leads or all the things, it's that safety net because they know there's a community and there's leads and there's already the 20-lane highway is built. They can be part of it. And if they make the money they want to make, they may be okay with that environment. But for those who like driving the bus and want to know what bus, they want to be in charge of what the color is of the bus and where it's going, that is not going to last long because they're going to want to build the 20-lane highway for themselves. So they'll step out of that eventually if it's not what they want to do, especially if they like that leadership part of leading a team. They're gonna want to gravitate toward that. Not everybody likes managing people and holding them accountable on all the things. That's okay. So you get to do you on this one, and you got your roadmap for you. So it doesn't mean you're not running at a high level just because you want to be individual. I've known a lot of individuals that make all the money they want to make, right? And they're good. So on page 195, it goes into a little bit of teams there as well on the budget model and the 9 categories. And the 2 accounts that get the lion's share of the money is salaries and lead generation. And those are the big 2. And you have to hold those operating expenses, those 2 operating expenses accountable for results. And that's a lot of it being accountable. So there's going to have to be that time, like I said, in your calendar to look through that to make sure that the things are operating or giving you the money that you expected them to and what that looks like. And it goes through staff productivity is a large issue on cost of sale and compensation cost. And what that looks like for teams, it says the compensation you pay your seller listing specialists and buyer specialists above the line and cost of sales accounts for 29.2% usually of your gross income. And combining that with the other salaries for people, admin helping you and lead generation, those are the biggest 2 expenses. And you can see at the top on figure 41 that it's 72.6%. So just a benchmark to look at to know where your money is going to go when you decide you're going to get those leverage pieces in, if you choose to work toward being a millionaire real estate agent and having that bigger business, for sure. So any comments, any questions? If I don't know the answer, I'll definitely work to get it. No? Anything else? Like, we've got a few minutes because that was really a little short few pages. I tried not to have 10 pages of a lot of things that we didn't get through. So what's something that you guys, I've got Clarice, Kalani, and Janet here, and then Facebook Live watching us. What are some things you want to talk about today? What's something going on? How's the market treating you? What are some things that you want to mastermind on the call?
Oh, well, again, I go back to that, including the referral fees and just the costs associated with doing business. I think that's really underestimated as far as from a single agent perspective, 30% of expenses. Right now, I don't see that. My expenses are much higher than that. And I think part of it is
Mine are
as a new
too.
agent. Okay, so I was curious because I'm a new agent, right? And so I am building my business, and some of that is through referrals. But I also see that, even though you prospecting and marketing, it still costs. Definitely.
There are still, because if you're sending out anything in a mailing or anything like that's not digital, it's going to cost you that. So I guess it depends on what your income is and that breakdown of where you're spending. So the cost of sale here is going to total $16,750, and that's the 6%, the $3,000 that goes to Keller Williams Realty International, and the $13,750 that's maxed out here. So In a business that's doing 1.8 million to 2 million, you would be considered a capper. That's kind of the amount or the volume amount that Jay and I usually see if we believe that you are going to cap in our office. Or when your gross commission income reached $50,000, that's before anything comes out. That's the point that you would cap. That's what Willow's told me, that it's 50 grand. 50 grand in gross commission income equals enough gross commission for that 16,750 to have come out. I don't know if that's helpful or not. Hang
It
on.
does. It gives you kind of that target to go towards. I think, at least that I've seen, and I don't know, Janet, maybe you can expand upon it. As a single agent, I think they really underestimate the expense amount.
I think another way to look at it is look at your fixed costs, because if you subscribe to, well, first of all, your MLS dues,
Right.
and things like that, that you're going to have to pay, those aren't proportional at all to your income. And so, you could take all the things that are fixed costs, the cost of your monthly phone bill, for me, my office rental, the office bill, all those things that you're going to have to pay regardless of income, and then see where your break-even point is then.
Yeah, and then I don't have my handy dandy economic model in front of me. That I created one for individual agents that are just getting started. They've not created any expenses yet other than the expense of getting into business. So, and which includes your E&O insurance, right? That's an expense. Your bill, your dues for the board, your dues for the MLS, your monthly bill times 12 for the yearly amount. And it's $2,400-ish. I don't have it in front of me for fixed expenses that are going to be a yearly expense that you have to pay that is there. Above that is that cost of sale, 16,750. So anything additional is like your cell phone and all those things would be also expenses. But that just is a picture of what I give out as an economic model for someone getting started. I just started doing that since we've been going through this Millionaire Real Estate Agent, because most people, when they meet, they go, I want to make 6 figures, right? That's usually the magic number for everybody is 100,000. And I don't know if they think I want to hear that number, or they just don't really have a number, and that's an easy one. So I created how to do that as a new agent with the amount of appointments that you need for the entire year. And it's very doable. And all of these numbers for someone new coming into the business, even the economic model sometimes is like, right? Because a lot of people, when they get in business, they're not used to running a business, or they don't have to keep up with that. They get a W-2, everything's taken out, they go home and they live their life. So it's a different way of looking at things. And the budget model always is a conversation about the percentages that are in here and what they do. I think the bottom line is to watch your expenses, hold your dollars accountable, look at what you're spending, if it's making you a return on your investment, and holding the dollars accountable, just like you would at your home and your budget and what you're doing. Just knowing where your money is going is really huge in your business, but looking at that profit and loss and what does that look like for you?
I think another thing too is don't discount your services, because it's real tempting, especially if you're working with for sale by owners. Oh, I'll do it for, 5% or whatever. But you're worth it. And your expenses have to be paid regardless of how much is coming in. So, we're in this to make a profit, not to give away our time.
And I think too, if you're not looking at what you're spending, you're not doing a budget, and you're wanting to get that sale, like you're thinking about that in a moment. I love everything about that, Janet. That's the easy thing to do, is to discount to get that transaction. And when you do that, that affects your P&L for the month, doesn't it? It's less coming in. So that could be your strategy at the beginning of, what's your script around your commission? How much does your average commission need to be to get that economic model to happen, right? Because when we're basing it on 3% or 2.285, 2.85%, and we start doing less than that, then we're not gonna be on track to hit that goal. But the expenses are the fixed expenses, no matter what. Like Milani said, that they're not, they're there. That's going to be the percentage of them, especially the ones that aren't going to be things that you have control over. Like you have to have E&O insurance. That's not a subscription you can unsubscribe to, right? Like buying leads or some of the other things that you would do for lead generation, and lead generation does cost money. The MLS is a cost for promoting marketing, right? Marketing your listing. Very good conversation, you guys. Very good conversation. Any other comments? I'd be glad to dive deeper, Polani and Janet. We could have a percentage budget conversation. If I get some more information that helps you better, I will absolutely do that.
I had a one-to-one with Todd Butzer, who was the regional director of the North Central region.
Oh, please share that. He's amazing.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
Love Todd. But anyway, I wanted it a silent auction. But anyway, he looked over my P&L and my budget and everything, and he said, everything looked good. I just needed more income and focus on that side of it.
Okay, so it was about the lead gen part and about having more transactions.
Right.
Isn't it always? Isn't
Make more
that the
money.
cure of all
That's
of it?
easy. Yeah, make more money. Go ahead, make more money.
Yeah.
Exactly.
More money, talk to more people, convert more, and maybe you're talking to a lot of people. I think that's where that tracking and looking at how many conversations versus how many actually said yes. Am I not closing? Am I saying things wrong? What's going on there? And that's the hard part, is when you feel good about making the activities happen, right? And then you're like, well, I made a lot of activities happen, but nothing happened from that. Why? So it's not the fun part of looking at yourself and going, how do I need to practice that? And I promise you, I get to have these conversations all of the time with my MAPS coach. So I think when we have the conversations, though, it reminds us that we're around people who are like-minded, who feel like that, these are the conversations that help us think about what we do daily. So we won't go back into our natural self, and we'll be purposeful and intentional and not in that E to P entrepreneurial mode.
I think too, I was part of a group coaching with Action Coach, which is a franchise basically, but for several years. And they have a model where you focus on your conversion rates. I adapted it to real estate because it was a little different from selling widgets. But, basically, those conversion rates, if you change like 1% up at the top of the chain, that's going to reflect to maybe a 10% profit at the bottom.
Wow, I love that, Janet. That's that. We just get 1% better.
Yeah,
get 1% better every day, and then that's a calendar thing too. Of who are you role playing with? What are some things when you look at your conversion rate that you could do differently? And I'm talking to myself as well. I think it also depends on your disc profile, how much you close or not close or feel comfortable with closing, and you can create a habit of doing it. You can get past that. You can be a wonderful closer, even if you don't love rejection. So it takes some time, and as you exercise the muscle of asking permission to close, then I think that'll be helpful. I love, Janet, that you shared that just changing 1% could give you 10% more profit. That's huge. Thank you for that. You guys are watching. I hope that you are getting great nuggets on our Facebook Live. I'm not looking at your comments. I promise I do look at them, but I don't do it while I'm on here. So I will, if you have any questions, see if I can help you with answers. I hope this has been of value today for you guys, and we're going to hop off a couple of minutes early to make up for the day that I was 10 minutes over. So have a wonderful week. Don't forget, February the 7th, before I hop off, February the 7th at 11 o'clock, Mortgage Investors Group has got an appraiser panel coming with brunch. I know you show up for food, right? So they're going to be doing question and answer. I think it's going to be really, really a great time to come in. Now, I will tell you, it's not a time to bring up the thing that didn't appraise, that the big long story around it. So we're not doing any of that. We're putting that on the parking lot. It is just a question and answer, best practices to bulletproof the transaction. Don't know how many of you are having appraisals go bad and not go to close. I haven't heard those conversations lately, and they could be coming. So you want to be able to set that up in the best way for your buyers and sellers. So if you get the Eventbrite link, sign up for that so we'll know we can have brunch for you that day, okay? And if you know someone that I need to be talking to, please text me or call me and let me help you build your profit share. All right. We'll talk to you soon, guys. Thanks for hopping on.
Thanks, Sally.
Have a great week.